for a while now, I would say a couple of weeks now. As a gist of this chapter, Krishna is explaining Arjuna about Dhyana Yoga. Dhyana Yoga primarily deals with yogi who, just to give you a picture, who actually leaves everything, goes to the forest and practices the eightfold yoga system and eventually attains samadhi, which means to be in connection, to be in contact with the Lord, right? So he practices all of these eightfold mystic systems, which was discussed in the previous verses. So here, in continuation with in that line, the translation is saying that when the yogi, by practice of yoga, disciplines his mental activities and becomes situated in transcendence, is devoid of all material desires. So for a person to practice spirituality, he has to give up all his material desires. Especially in the case of Dhyana Yogi, what happens is that he has to shut off all his desires, shut off all sorts of his desires, so shut off all his association with material objects, so that he will not have further desires. Now the question is, what is material desire? Anybody? What is material desire? And why it is so? I mean, we're already on the 6th chapter, so many things have already been said about staying away from material desire. In our own simple words, or even in our own understanding, if I were to ask you what is material desire, what would you say?
I want a BMW.
That's actually very, very good.
I want wealth.
You want wealth. Wants BMW. Anybody?
The desire to enjoy the objects of the senses.
Desire to enjoy the objects. What does that mean? Desire to enjoy the objects of the senses. It's a very heavy line of English, no?
That's right.
Desire to enjoy the object of the senses. Like 5 words in there. What is sense? We'll go from behind. What is sense? What are the senses?
5 senses.
5 senses.
What are the 5 senses?
Ears, eyes, nose, tongue, smell, tongue.
Okay. What are the properties of these senses? For example, eyes. What is the main property of the eye? To see. What is the property of the ears? To hear. Then, what else did you say? Nose. To smell. Then? Taste. Tongue. To taste. Right? And then? Skin. To touch. So these are senses. These are the properties of senses. Now, what are the objects of these senses? Prabhu said, BMW. That is an object. Why is that object? He sees from his eyes and he sees, wow, what a car. And he hears its properties. At 1 second it will hit 60, or in 5 seconds it will hit 100 or whatever. And looks good and very comfortable. And then he personally goes and sits in the car. And then he feels, oh, this is actually very comfortable. It's much better than my existing whatever car I have, right? And then he holds the steering wheel. He feels that, oh, it's very aerodynamic, or whatever you can describe of a car, right? Our senses get carried away by these. This means objects of the senses. Then, what is the word before it? Desire to enjoy the object. As soon as we hear BMW, now Prabhu said BMW, I was not thinking of BMW at all. I thought something else will come. But the second he said BMW, I can think in my head, I can think that, okay, there is a circle and there is a blue and a white and there's a BMW written over there. And then now suddenly there's a desire. Wish I had something like that. 2023 model, spanking white BMW, That is the desire to enjoy. And who is enjoying this? Are you as a person enjoying it? No. It is these senses that are pulling you to enjoy it, and then you get wavered. So you are basically on a path, whatever X path you were going on a path, and suddenly something like a BMW or a house just, pulls you, and the senses get attracted to it, and you deviate from the path. And when you deviate from the path, you're not going to reach the goal of that path. So that's what it means by saying devoid of all material desires means I need to not have any of these material desires for a Dhyana Yogi, specifically speaking for a Dhyana Yogi. I need not to have any of these material desires so that that person can reach his path. Because if he's continuously having such a desire then there's no question of reaching the path, the goal. I mean, there's no question of reaching the goal. Is it possible? Is it possible to reach the goal? If there is a straight path and somebody deviates you this way, then you'll go there, be there for like, some extra amount of time, and then you realize, no, oh my God, I had to go there. So then you come back, and then you go a little further, someone deviates, you get deviated. For life, forever you'll get deviated like that, but you'll never reach the goal. For a Dhyana yogi, this thing of having devoid of material desires is very prime. In other words, to even put simpler from what Prabhu said in simpler terms, anything that takes away from us, away from Krishna, is material desire. Anything that pulls you away from your path of reaching to Krishna is material desire. Now, the property of this material desire is, if you were to do it, it is flickering pleasure, right? You think of any material desire, right? It's flickering pleasure that leads to endless amount of misery, or oceans of misery. 5 minutes of pleasure, you're thinking that this will give me, but once you get a BMW, taking Prabhu's example, if you don't mind, Prabhu. So, taking a BMW into example, wow, excellent. So nice, so happy after getting it. Then you realize immediately that BMW, you cannot put 89 octane oil, you have to put 91, money gone. Then slowly it's a misery. I used to put, now the gas price are what, like 150 or 160 it is, and now you have to put 91. Now that is around 170, and I have to pay 10 cents more. Then comes the time of installation, paying installments per month. Oh my God, you're paying a premium for it. Then after some time you come to know that you cannot take this car to a regular place to get your servicing done. It has to be a premium service, right? So then you're thinking, then in your mind you're adding up, oh, before I had, let's say I had a Toyota or something, and then anywhere I could throw it and they would service and give it to me. But this one I have to drive it all the way to a BMW store, and I have to put like a 91 premium and all of this thing. One flickering desire that you had, flickering happiness, it was there, that happiness was there, the pleasure was there, and then afterwards it's misery. You'll feel miserable. It's like, yeah, I'm enjoying, but then after you start becoming a philosopher yourself. Yeah, car is nice, but I'm not sleeping in my car, I'm sleeping in the house. Then you start thinking, I spend only 1 hour inside the car, but I'm spending so much for it, and then you compare, I'm spending so much time in the house, but I'm spending only so much for it, and all of that philosophical thoughts will come. Eventually, one day you will decide that, okay, I just need to give it up, right? So this is called deviation of desire. I mean, it's not against BMW or anything, I'm just quoting that as an example, right? So that is, an example of material desire. So now the next question is, can we really shut off, having desires? Is it possible to, let's say that I don't want to have a desire, right? Can I stay without having a desire? Is it possible?
Impossible.
Huh? Why is it impossible?
Because our mind is always thinking to get more.
Senses are always,
It's
Senses
by-
are always working.
It's by
Exactly.
default. It's by
Can we
default.
close our eyes, shut our ears, close our noses? Can we even if you did all of that, who is the boss of all the 5 senses?
Mind.
Mind. Can the mind remain silent? Third chapter, Krishna is telling Arjuna that mind cannot even sit quietly, even for nanosecond also. So even if you keep your eyes closed and everything, I will not have any material desires, it's not possible. Prabhupada is saying later in the purport, what he's saying, his simple word was, simple abnegation is not practical, right? It means shutting your senses is not practical. If we have discussed in the last couple of classes about some great sages who had gone into meditation, and for thousands of years they had kept themselves under control. They had kept everything under control. But it's like keeping a hungry lion inside a cage, right? Eventually it will break out and come. The slightest, the lion gets so hungry that a slight mistake by its caretaker and out comes the lion, right? Is that how it's perceived?
Absolutely.
Right? So the controlling of material desires, shutting off material desires is not an option for us. It's not an option. Like the Dhyana yogi, he will go, that's the whole reason they go to the forest. Why they go to the forest? Because in city life you'll see people, this, that and all, cars, BMWs, Mercedes, and we'll get mind will get perturbed. So they go off into the forest where there's nothing, there's only trees, leaves and everything, few animals roaming here, there, that's it. So they don't have no connection. That is why they go away from this city life and into a forest to do all this, so that they can try and control to not have material desires. But like we learned from the third chapter and like what Prabhu said, not possible, because continuously running, mind is continuously. How do we know? How do we understand that mind is continuously running? For example, if you have ever seen a body of water, there's always ripples on the top, right? If you look down, you can never see the end, the bottom of the water body. I'm not talking about an ocean, I'm just talking about a simple lake or something. You'll always see ripples. When you look down, you don't see nothing, right? I mean, you cannot see because so much, and that is how it is explained that the mind is wavering. It's continuously moving, right? Continuously moving. But deep down, if you dive down into the water body, everything is calm. There's no ripples. It's silent, clean. Water is at stagnant level. Nothing happens. That's exactly how we are. This the shell or body that you can see is constantly, our five senses are pulling out data from everywhere. I'm seeing, I'm hearing, I'm smelling, I'm touching. I'm constantly pulling stuff in, and my, my mind is getting agitated by it. Whether it's good agitation or bad agitation, agitation is there, right? So that is how the ripples of the water are. And the goal of life is to make sure that that lake of body that you have, that there are no ripples on the top. And the path that these dhyana yogis apply is to go to the forest, meditate, control, etc., etc., like how it is told in these verses. But can we go to the forest? We cannot go to the forest. Can we leave our houses? We cannot. Do we have to go to work? Yes, we have to. Do we have to take care of people? Yes. So we are all householders. So for the householders, Prabhupada is recommending using this verse as an evidence to say that this Dhyana Yoga is not practical. Dhyana Yoga is not practical for us. A path of practicing Krishna consciousness is practical. And he quotes, who? He quotes Ambarish Maharaj in this verse, right? And what is the quotation given here of Ambarish Maharaj? The idea is, see how Ambarish Maharaj engaged his senses, right? He's saying that he uses his mind to think about the lotus feet of the Lord, and with his tongue he glorifies the Lord. With his with his tongue he also tastes the lotus leaf that is on the Lord, Mahaprasad. He uses his limbs to go to the temple, to go to the worshipful places of the Lord, right? And whenever he sees devotees of the Lord, he goes, embraces them, talks to them, have a discussion with them, right? And with his head, he bows down his head to the lotus feet of the Lord. And then what else did they say? And then the most important thing of all, desires. What does he do with the desire? He utilizes his desires. It says his desires in executing the mission of the Lord. What is the mission of the Lord? Anybody? What is Lord's mission? Lord has a mission. What's his mission?
To bring us back, to take us back to God.
Yes, to bring all of the souls onto the path leading to him. That is the mission of the Lord, right? And the mission of the Lord is being fulfilled by his devotees. So Lord is saying that, mission of the Lord, my mission is that you bring all my people back to me. We are all, part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, right? And bring everybody onto the path of Krishna consciousness, right? So this is very practical. Now you may question that, okay, Ambarish Maharaj did all of this, how can 24 hours a day we have to go to work, drop off children to school, pick them up, groceries, this, that, how can we do all of this, right? If you look at it, all of this is very practical for us also. What does it mean is that 24 hours a day, it is not possible for us to constantly think of Krishna. It's not, at the stage that we are in, we cannot. But there are simple things that we can do, right? As soon as we wake up in the morning, just simply folding hands in front of the Lord or bowing down in front of the Lord, we are engaging our senses. Here it doesn't mean that bowing down in front of the Lord doesn't mean that you're constantly bowing down in front of the Lord, right? Or if you're if you're having prasadam, it doesn't mean that 24 hours you're sitting and eating. Oh, this is Krishna Prasad, let me keep on eating 24 hours, right? No, it doesn't work like that. Or if you're saying that we are taking our limbs and going to the temple, it doesn't mean that we practically take our limbs and forever keep walking off to the temple. That doesn't. It means that you're employing the senses, you're employing the limbs of the body for the service of the Lord whenever allocated. You have to do your given prescribed duties. You're a householder, right? You have to do your householding. But now the question will come that how, if I'm doing my householder tasks like going to work or etc., list of things, how is that spiritual? That is material, completely material. If that is material, then how is Prabhupada saying that we can, a Krishna conscious devotee can be devoid of material desires, because you're constantly in touch with these material desires, right? We are not shutting off. We are not shutting off any of these desires. The point behind here is that we have to understand, for what purpose am I going to work? For what purpose am I raising my children? For what purpose am I sending them to the school? Then if you dig deep down, that purpose has to be that I am walking on the path of spirituality and I have to connect everything, to Krishna consciousness, correct? That is the important point. Hey, I'm going to, now next question, Prabhu, I'm going to work. I'm a software engineer, or I'm a mechanical engineer, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm etc. How am I connecting that? How am I looking at that and saying that this is going to be a spiritual act? It's pure material. A lawyer will say, Prabhu, I have to sit and fight with these clients from morning till night. My mind is perturbed. I cannot at all be Krishna consciousness. I cannot ever think that this is Krishna conscious activity. Let me remind you that one of our acharyas, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, was a magistrate, was a judge, a magistrate, a chief magistrate in the court in British India at that time. The point of his work, he was so expert at performing his work that he would just listen to two sides, the plaintiff and the defendant, and immediately come up with a resolution that, okay, this is the issue, this is, he'll award whatever that needs to be awarded in terms of punishment, or who's right or who's wrong. The idea is that I am going for this work so that I can maintain the family that Krishna has provided me, so that I can bring them onto the path of Krishna, right? As the breadwinner of the house, or as a person who is working. It's not that you go work and you just may build a house and give a home and give some education and go. No, the main task of the householder is to make sure the rest of the family is coming to Krishna consciousness. But you cannot just bring sure, you also have to feed the stomach, and for feeding the stomach you also have to go to work, right? All of these are practical tasks. But in your mind, if you're always focused on the Supreme Lord, you know that, okay, this is an activity that I must do, it is expected of me to do, and I am therefore doing it because, Lord has given me certain responsibilities. If you think like this, then what happens? What happens if you think like this? What happens?
Paradigm changes.
The paradigm changes. The paradigm changes. But if you think that I am going to this job because I want to get a BMW, then the paradigm is completely off. Right? Am I right, Prabhu?
Yes.
Right? So this is the activities that we have to keep in light of Krishna consciousness. It's not really hard. It's not that Ambrish Maharaj did it and Ambrish was a pure devotee. Yes, Mataji.
I would still say that if you desire to get a BMW, you can always work hard for it. That desire is also not wrong. You can still be Krishna conscious
Correct.
and get a BMW.
Correct, definitely. I'm sorry, I'm just using BMW as just an example. Right? Do you own a BMW, by the way? No, you do, huh?
No, I did in India. So
Oh, okay. I have nothing against BMW, guys. I will, nothing against that. No, definitely. What Mataji is saying is absolutely right. Now I'll give you another example, right? How many of you have the opportunity of buying a house in Canada, or gone through the experience of buying a house here in Canada? Lot of devotees. Okay. So when you're buying a house, initially when you come to Canada, you're like very calculative, like, okay, this much is the cost. You do all your accounting and everything, and you eventually get a house. Then afterwards you're thinking that okay, I know I need to get rid of this house. I think I'm in a 3-bedroom house and I need to get like a 4-bedroom or a 5-bedroom house, and then you move to the next house. Now the question is this desire, and this was a desire, you went and you fulfilled the desire and you got the house also. Is it a desire that's deviating you from your path of spirituality, or is it a desire that's keeping you on the path of spirituality? How would one see it?
Depends on your consciousness. If you want a bigger altar, then that house is justified.
For me, it will affect the consciousness. Like if you buy a house with like, if I'm thinking like my family will live there, they are all in Krishna consciousness. And if I think Krishna as a center, in that case, maybe. But I'm not 100% sure that.
Okay. Anybody else? Who can I pick on? Swaminathan Prabhu? What do you think?
What I'm thinking is if you're buying or upgrading something, like you say for example, if you have a 3-bedroom and you want a 4-bedroom.
And you're perfectly good in 3-bedroom. Let me make that statement
If
too.
you think 4-bedroom would be your temple, then that desire is pure.
Okay. So that means in the 3-bedroom you're not thinking of a temple at all.
No, in the 3-bedroom we are living, right? Like if you're thinking of upgrading, and the 4th room you want to be as a temple, then your desire is purified, right? Your desire for purification.
Okay, I'll park your thought in the parking.
I think if you use the bigger house in Krishna's service, like if you have group programs or you do like cooking classes or yoga classes or preaching programs in the house, then you can purify that space.
Okay, we put that also in parking.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So I would say Prabhupada mentions in the first canto of the Bhagavatam that we should use material things for self-preservation and not self-glorification.
Self-preservation versus self-glorification.
So if a 3-bedroom is fine for what you have, then we just need to focus on keeping the body and soul together, not anything more than that.
Okay.
So that would be where we'd stop.
Okay.
I have my own opinion.
Yes,
May
please.
not be.
No, every opinion is welcome.
Yeah. So it's any material desire that is driven by a spiritual purpose is 100% glorified.
Okay.
So that is my opinion. So it could be 4 bedrooms, 5 mansion, anything that you are creating is an experience that Krishna is creating.
Okay, that's a very good view. It's a very
That's
nice
right.
view.
And so Prabhupada is directing that as a group to understand what Krishna is about. That is just as simple as that.
Beautiful opinion.
I
Beautiful.
think any material desire that you want and you have that desire and if you're able to fulfill with your own good karmas without taking things from anyone else and without taking anyone's share, with your own hard work, following the right path of Krishna, I think every desire you can fulfill. If the desire is correct and the path you are taking to achieve that desire is correct.
Okay. That's also a very nice opinion. Yes, Prabhu.
Just to support his example, the 4th bedroom you're looking for is in the main floor. It's because your mother-in-law is getting old. So as long as you're keeping her wellness in mind, that's kind of a spiritual thought.
So, I like this. Yes. A lot of nice thoughts are coming. Mother-in-law's in this room? She's in this room? Okay.
What I was thinking, if your material desires are getting satisfied with 3-bedroom, right, and shifting or upgrading from 3rd to 4th, that is even give more material desires, right? That is something that you need to think about. So basically, what kind of desire is it, right? Is it spiritual or material? For example, I have a 3-bedroom, but I don't have enough space for home programs, let's say.
Okay.
Right? I want a bigger house just so that I can serve more devotees, I can serve more devotees nicely, right? And I can have some home programs.
Okay.
That has a spiritual content within my desire. So
Okay. So in the general gist of answers, what I'm hearing is that I would upgrade because keeping spirituality in mind, whether I can serve devotees or whether I can have more home programs or whether I can, like Mataji said, have home programs, yoga programs, etc. Anything that connects with the Lord, I would upgrade. But
not everyone will have that skill to do it.
Correct. So Mataji is also right. So not everyone now we are sitting in the class, so you're giving me like A grade answers, right? But then, like if you go outside, like you, no, maybe Ford parking garage is better, But I only have 2 cars, but I still want 4 parking garage, because I can have a lot of space between 2 cars and can stuff. So I mean, these are I'm not holding anybody on anything, but generally this is how the mind thinks, correct? This is how the mind thinks. So when you say that I want to go to a bigger place, in principle, it's a good idea. In principle, if you're really bent on serving. But then my next question will be like, in your existing place, are you doing enough service already? Are you exploding out, right? Then when you think that, yes, I am exploding out and, therefore I'm having this desire that, some I feel so bad, some all devotees sitting on chair, but there are like few devotees literally always standing there and they don't have any place to sit down. Then automatically that desire rises within us that, maybe, if I could afford a bigger place, then I could seat everybody nicely. And then Krishna comes and fulfills our desires because it's very much related, na? It's very much related to that path. This is called using the desires for the mission of the Lord, right? But our desires, like Prabhu said, should always be there for self-preservation and not for self-glorification. What does that mean? That means that I'm doing fine right now, but if I do something little bit more in spiritual or in opulence, then people will treat me better, people will look at me better, and I will have a better... All of those things will be coming from the front, but inside the house you'll be like, oh my God, these bills I have to pay, and you'll be suffering with misery. Flickering pleasure leads to ocean of miseries. This is not good, right? So, by all means, like what our Prabhu said, by all means, if by Lord's desire you are blessed with a mansion, by Lord's desire you are blessed with like 100 acres of land, by Lord's desire you are given like the whole BMW store, very good, use it for the Lord's pleasure. There is no harm whatsoever, right? There is no harm because it's coming to you, right? When it's coming to you, utilize it for the purpose of the Lord, right? Whatever it is, if you're having home programs or wealth for that matter, right? I can give examples of so many devotees, who we know, who are there, that they are like millionaires, right? And they have donated huge sums just for the purpose of building temples or for Food for Life programs, so many programs, right? So that is called utilizing the wealth in the right spirit. It's not that they're taking away their own personal, they're taking it out of their preservation and giving. They're preserving themselves, and whatever extra they have, they're distributing it for the purpose of the mission of the Lord, not just for some random philanthropic activities, correct? So those things are good, and that is what Ambrish Maharaj is also doing. Ambrish Maharaj is a king, right? He's using his wealth for taking care of all the devotees in his kingdom, performing all sorts of activities, building temples, giving prasadam, distribution of prasadam, all of that is going on. Now, one more lesson that now the question is, Ambrish Maharaj did this. How do you know that something good happens? That question will come. What is the proof? What is the evidence? The evidence is we'll go for a small pastime, right? We'll just go behind the background of Ambrish Maharaj and a little bit about his pastime. So Ambrish Maharaj, obviously, as it said, he's a very great king. He was a very great king, pious devotee of the Lord, immense amount of wealth. All of that, and he was a very pure-hearted soul. He was very grave, took care of his subjects very well, was strict. His kingdom was he was ruling his kingdom very well. Everything was going on very fine in his thing. So there, every 15 days, what happens in a Vaishnava calendar is that a fasting day comes every 15 days. It's called Ekadashi. I'm sure many people are aware of that word, but we call it fasting. So he, along with all the residents of his country, of his place, wherever he was ruling, they would perform this fast. And then the next day, at the right time, they would break the fast on the Dwadashi day, the day after the fast. So one day what happened, a very great sage comes, and this sage, his name is Durvasa Muni, he's known for his anger. There are some people, they want everything to go pakka. Right, like if you draw the line, it has to be within that line. Little bit here and there, and they get agitated. Anger comes right away. Everybody in their life would know some relative or somebody like that. If they say something, if it's not done that way, then things go haywire. So anyways, he comes and he comes, and the thing about the fast is, if you don't break the fast on the right time or within the given period of time, then that fast is considered, not complete. The fast is considered not complete. So Durvasa Muni comes along with his disciples, and just at that moment when the fast is about to, that small window of breaking the fast, he says, okay, I'm going to go to the river, I'm going to take a bath and come. So, and as per giving respects to elders, you should not have anything until they come back, right? That is how you respect. If somebody comes to your house, you first give to them and then you take, right? So the same way, so he was also waiting, but then at the same time the clock is ticking, and he would lose all the benefits of performing. Not only him, the whole country is waiting that as soon as the king takes, then we will take, and then we will all break the fast. So, and this sage goes and he's not coming back yet, and the time is ticking. There's very short time left before breaking. So he speaks to his, he consults with his ministers and everything, and they say that, okay, you can sip water. Water is not considered as eating a lot. At the same time, it's considered fast. You can break it, right? It's considered breaking, so it's fine, and it won't disrespect the seniors. So as soon as he sipped the water, Durvasa is right there in front of him. He comes back and he says, oh, he creates a big ruckus. He's like, how come you did this, without you disrespected a senior, this, that, and he goes all crazy.